going to install the Perrin Turbo inlet. Get rid of the stock one. I'm going to install the Cobb 3-port boost controller as well. First thing we need to do is cut this pipe to join up with our intake here. You're going to use a hose clamp as a guide. I might move that a little bit more. Yeah, once we do that, we'll get in the car, get it installed. Wire in there. I want to trim. There we go. So we did cut a substantial amount off of the inlet. It would have been up here. Did I need the second clamp? Probably not. This was somewhat difficult to install. But with some patience, you can get this to set nice and flat. Take some adjustment, of course, depending how your bypass valve is. This may or may not require you to kind of piece it together and rotate it as you go. I really have no advice other than to follow Perrin's instructions, which were pretty clear. It's nice that they actually include a printed set in your kit, easy to refer to. So anyhow, now we're going to install turbo boost control solenoid. And wrap this up. Typically, you'd be installing the boost control solenoid to the OEM inlet, replacing it here. By installing it to this bracket here and rerouting some hoses. We're going to install it on the Perrin 3-inch silicone inlet. We're going to clean up some of this hoses here and route it right to the 3-port control solenoid. Won't be too difficult at all, really. Probably the easiest install of this whole thing. Let's go. So I've gone ahead and secured the solenoid to the billet bracket with the supplied Allen head, bolts, screws, whatever. Cut some lengths of the hose that they supply. This will get you to your different ports on the turbo and on the wastegate and on the inlet. You want to cut one at 8 inches, 9.5, and 1 1/8 if you're doing a install on an OEM inlet. But we're not, so I'm going to trim these as I install them. We're going to take this inlet right here, this nipple, we're going to put some Loctite on it and thread it into the solenoid and loosely align it towards this port here, and we'll attach a short piece of vacuum hose between the two and install it on the inlet. There, it won't rotate anymore. I'm going to back it to about there. And we're going to cut this piece of hose. It helps to get some pliers on there and to help just fit it in. I suppose you could fix the hose to one side or the other, then secure it to the bracket and push it in. Looks like we've got it good here. The instructions say you can put a wrench on these and rotate these if it suits your install. We're going to leave them as is for this one. So to get the Cobb boost control solenoid installed on the inlet, we're going to have to undo these hoses, remove them, and replace them with new lines supplied by Cobb, cut to fit our installation. This part of the procedure will be the same if you're on the OEM inlet. This would be your other end. So let's get this finished. You'll remove from the turbo both these, and then from the wastegate also. Now we're going to install the solenoid to the inlet. This would screw right to the plastic intake. Since we're not using that, we got this hose clamp that will probably do just fine keeping this in place. So now we're going to get the piece from the wastegate, which is right here. We'll install from the wastegate to port 3. I'm going to trim that. probably reuse the OEM line, but we're gonna cut our own. Actually, we will use the OEM. Install the hose clamp. Now we'll come from the turbo to port 2. Something like that. We'll trim this. This OEM piece might have worked also. We'll reinstall the clamp. Yes, I see I missed this one. Reinstall it. Clamps are rather, the OEM clamps are rather loose on the solenoid side. We'll switch to zip ties right here. They're good up here. These are pretty loose. We'll switch. I just have to hook up the harness if I can find it. Where the heck did it go? Where are you? It says to wrap it through here. We may just strap that to that, keep it from wobbling around. They can't do it. with that, we conclude our Cobb 3-port boost solenoid install, our Perrin 3-inch turbo inlet install, our Killer Bee equal length header install. Just have this last hose to wrap up on the turbo, which I think I'll reroute. Something like that.